First World War, people thought we should make an organization for making peace, which was named League of Nations, but it lost its importance because of Second World War. Seeing the destruction of world, the human race considered it important to create a new organization, to promote mutual cooperation and to put a stop to mutual wars. After many meetings between the head of different states, at last a conference was held in 1945 in San Francisco in America, and they decided to make United Nations. It is the largest, most familiar, most internationally represented and most powerful intergovernmental organization in the world. The UN is headquartered on international territory in New York City. Other main offices are in Geneva, Nairobi, Vienna and The Hague. At its founding, the UN had 51 member states. This number grew to 193 in 2011, representing the vast majority of the world's sovereign states. The UN Charter is considered an international treaty. As such, it is an instrument of international law, and UN member states are bound by it. The UN Charter codifies the major principles of international relations, from sovereign equality of states to the prohibition of the use of force in international relations. Now, we will discuss what are the objectives of United Nations. The United Nations came into being in 1945, following the devastation of the Second World War, with one central mission: the maintenance of international peace and security. The UN does this by working to prevent conflict, helping parties in conflict make peace, and creating the conditions to allow peace to hold and flourish. These activities often overlap and should reinforce one another to be effective. The UN Security Council has the primary responsibility for international peace and security. The General Assembly and the Secretary-General play major, important, and complementary roles, along with other UN offices and bodies. The term human rights was mentioned 7 times in the UN's founding charter, making the promotion and protection of human rights a key purpose and guiding principle of the organization. In 1948, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights brought rights into the realm of international law. Since then, the organization has diligently protected human rights through legal instruments and on-the-ground activities. One of the purposes of the United Nations, as stated in its charter, is to achieve international cooperation in solving international problems of an economic, social, cultural, or humanitarian character. The UN first did this in the aftermath of the Second World War, on the devastated continent of Europe, which it helped to rebuild. The organization is now relied upon by the international community to coordinate humanitarian relief operations, due to natural and man-made disasters in areas beyond the relief capacity of national authorities alone. From the start in 1945, one of the main priorities of the United Nations was to achieve international cooperation in solving international problems of an economic, social, cultural, or humanitarian character, and in promoting and encouraging respect for human rights and for fundamental freedoms for all without distinction as to race, language, or religion. Improving people's well-being continues to be one of their main focuses of the UN. The global understanding of development has changed over the years, and countries now have agreed that sustainable development offers the best path forward for improving the lives of people everywhere. The UN Charter set an objective to establish conditions under which justice and respect for the obligations arising from treaties and other sources of international law can be maintained. Ever since, the development of and respect for international law has been a key part of the work of the organization. This work is carried out in many ways, by courts, tribunals, multilateral treaties, and by the Security Council, which can approve peacekeeping missions. impose sanctions, or authorize the use of force when there is a threat to international peace and security, if it deems this necessary. These powers are given to it by UN Charter. I hope you understood United Nations well. Stay tuned for the next part of United Nations. Now, like this video and subscribe to our channel, and if you have any query, feel free to ask us in the comment section. Thanks.